At 11:43 on a freezing Chicago night, a delivery boy knocked on the door of a lakefront mansion, just to hand over a box of medication. Inside, another private nurse had already quit. The woman in the wheelchair had shattered a water glass, cursed out everyone in the room, and ordered the boy thrown back into the snow. But when he bent to gather the pills rolling under her chair, a photograph slipped from an open drawer and landed face up near his hand. In it, 30 years younger and smiling beside the same woman, stood his mother. In that instant, Noah Vega understood something terrible. He had not just delivered medicine to a paralyzed billionaire. He might have knocked on the door that had destroyed his family long before he was born. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's story. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more emotional, dramatic, and surprising stories ahead. Be sure to leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. 3 days earlier, none of that had meant anything yet. Noah Vega was 27 years old, tired all the time, and still too proud to complain about it. He lived on the south side of Chicago in a narrow brick 2-flat that always seemed to creak louder in winter. The radiators hissed. The hallway smelled faintly of bleach and old cooking oil. The windows let in cold air no matter how many times he taped the edges. He shared the upstairs unit with his mother, Lucia Vega, and his younger sister, Elena. Lucia was not old, not really. She was only 58. But kidney disease had a way of taking years from a person before death ever came close. Some mornings she looked strong enough to argue with the landlord and make coffee before anyone else woke up. Other mornings she looked like all her energy had drained out through her hands overnight. Elena was 20 and smart in the quiet way that frightened people who liked feeling superior. She took classes at a community college downtown and worked part-time at a bookstore when they needed extra help. She tried to hide bills the way other girls hid love letters. Noah always found them anyway. He worked nights for Lakeline Courier, mostly pharmacy runs, hospital discharges, forgotten prescriptions, and the kind of urgent deliveries rich people expected to arrive before they finished being annoyed. He liked the work more than he admitted. It paid badly, but it was honest. He could keep moving. He could avoid sitting still long enough to feel how scared he really was about money. That Tuesday morning, he came into the kitchen already wearing his jacket, because the apartment felt colder than usual. Lucia stood at the sink with one hand braced on the counter. Elena was at the table with her laptop open, pretending to study while looking at a payment portal she clearly couldn't afford to refresh anymore. Noah saw the envelope first. It sat near the sugar jar, white, folded, clinic return address in the corner. He picked it up. This for me to open or for everyone to stare at? Lucia turned too quickly. Leave it. That alone told him enough. He opened it anyway. The estimate for her next dialysis adjustment wasn't impossible. That would have been easier. Impossible at least told you where you stood. This was worse. It was just barely within reach if they skipped 3 other things they also needed. Noah read the number once. Then again. Then he put the paper down face down. Elena looked up from the table. How bad? It's fine, he said. She gave him a look so flat it almost made him smile. You always say that when it's not. Lucia dried her hands slowly. I can push the next treatment a week. No. Noah said at once. It's not ideal, but I've done it before. No. The word came out harder than he intended. The kitchen went quiet. Lucia looked at him for a second, then down at the counter. She knew that tone. He hated that she knew it. Elena closed her laptop. I can drop 1 class next semester. No, Noah, no. He rubbed a hand over his face. You don't drop school. Mom doesn't delay treatment. We'll figure something else out. That was the thing about people like Noah. People called it strength when it was really just not having the luxury to fall apart in front of others. Lucia moved to the table and sat down carefully. Mijo, she said softly. You can't hold everything by yourself forever. He looked at her, pale, tired, still trying to comfort him. Maybe not forever, he said. But for this month, yeah, I can. He left 10 minutes later with cold coffee in a travel mug and too much pressure behind his eyes. On the way downstairs he checked his phone. 3 messages from dispatch. 1 route change, 1 cancellation. 1 note marked premium priority for the evening shift. He didn't think much about it then. Chicago looked gray and half frozen that day. Dirty snow sat in ridges near the curbs. The wind off the lake cut through cheap gloves and good intentions alike. Noah spent the afternoon sleeping in short, broken pieces before heading out again. By 7 he was back in the company lot, scanning packages into his route app under a weak yellow security light. Marcus, another driver, leaned against the loading bay door and whistled when he saw one name on Noah's screen. Man, he said, you got marrow. Noah looked up. What's marrow? Marcus laughed. Not what, who. He came over, peered at the phone, and shook his head. Evelyn Marrow. Reals estate money, old money now too, lakefront estate, huge place. Rich woman in a wheelchair. Mean as hell. Noah shoved a box prescription into his thermal tote. That from personal experience or just city gossip? Both. Marcus lowered his voice. I took one there last month. You ever walk into a house and feel like the walls know more than the people inside? Noah gave him a look. That sounded weirdly poetic for a man named Marcus. Marcus ignored that. I'm serious. Whole place is bad energy. They say she fires caregivers every week. Sued one, threatened another. One nurse came out crying. For real? For real. And before all that, she used to be huge. Evelyn Marrow built half luxury towers as north the river, then saw accidents years back. After that gone. No interviews. No galas, no nothing. Just lawyers, money. Silence. Noah zipped the bag shut. So why are you smiling? Because that run pays triple after 10 p.m. That's why. That got his attention. How triple? Marcus named the number. Noah stared at him. For one drop? Lakefront rich people don't like waiting for pills. Noah slipped the phone into his jacket. Then I love rich people's blood pressure. Marcus snorted. Not this one, you don't. The first time Noah drove north that night, he noticed how fast the city changed. The south side gave way to cleaner storefronts, then glass towers, then broad roads with trees wrapped in winter lights and houses that looked less like homes and more like declarations. Money had a sound, not loudness. Control, quiet control. The kind that came with gates, cameras and heated stone driveways while other neighborhoods salted cracked sidewalks by hand. By the time he reached the lakefront, the streets looked polished even in the dark. The GPS led him through a final curve, lined with bare trees and private walls. Then stopped in front of iron gates, taller than the first floor of his building. A security camera tilted down toward his van. He rolled down the window and gave his name into the intercom. The voice that answered was male, clipped, and impatient. Delivery. Pharmacy? Yes, a buzz sounded. The gate opened inward. Noah drove slowly up a long curved driveway bordered by low lights half buried in snow. The mansion came into view in stages. Stone, glass, massive columns. A front entrance wide enough for a hotel. Beyond it, through one section of lit windows, he could see the black surface of Lake Michigan stretching into the night. He parked near the side entrance marked staff and stepped out with the insulated case in hand. The cold bit straight through his jeans. Somewhere inside the house, a woman shouted. It wasn't ordinary shouting, it had force behind it. The kind that came from someone used to being obeyed. No, get out, the voice snapped. If I wanted excuses, I'd hire a politician. Noah paused with his hand on the bell. Another voice answered, nervous and low. A woman this time. Ms. Marrow, your physician specifically said I said get out. Something hit a hard floor. Noah rang the bell, no answer. He waited. Inside he heard quick footsteps, then what sounded like a door opening and a second woman saying, Mom, please. Then silence. Thick silence. Not calm. Held. The door opened just enough for an older black woman in a navy sweater to step into the light. She looked tired in a deep, practiced way. Not sleepy, worn down. Her eyes dropped to the delivery case, then lifted to Noah's face. Pharmacy, she asked. Yes, Mom. Signature required. She opened the door wider. Warm air came out, carrying the smell of expensive polish, antiseptic and something broken open under pressure. I'm Mrs. Bell, she said. Come in, quickly. Noah stepped inside, and the first thing he noticed was the floor. Dark marble. Perfect. Too perfect. The second thing he noticed was the shattered water glass near the foot of a sweeping staircase. The third thing was the woman being helped toward an elevator by a nurse who looked one bad minute away from quitting. Evelyn Marrow. Even seated in the motorized wheelchair, she had presence. Thin, silver hair pulled back tight, face sharp enough to cut with. Silk robe over a body that looked lighter than anger should have been able to live inside. Her hand trembled once on the armrest before going still. Her eyes flicked toward Noah for half a second, then away as if he were part of the furniture. Good houses felt lived in. This one felt managed. Mrs. Bell signed for the medication with efficient hands and murmured an apology for the wait. Noah should have left right then. He had no reason to stay. But as he stood there with the stylus still warm from her hand, he felt it. Something off, not just wealth, not just grief. A silence layered over other silences. A house protecting something. He turned once before stepping back into the cold. Upstairs, somewhere beyond the polished railings and locked doors, another voice rose. Low this time. Dangerous. Then cut off. Noah got back into his van and sat for a moment with the engine idling. He didn't know why the place stayed with him. Maybe it was the contrast. Some people spent nights figuring out how to stretch one inhaler for 2 weeks. Other people lived in houses big enough to lose themselves in, and still sounded like they were drowning. Money fixed a lot, he knew that. He wished for it often enough, but sometimes it just built bigger rooms for pain to echo in. By the time he got home, it was after 1 in the morning. The apartment was dark except for the lamp over the stove. Lucia was still awake, wrapped in a cardigan, reading glasses low on her nose. She looked up the moment he came in. "You're late," she said. "Premium route," she nodded. "You eat?" "In the van, that means no." He smiled faintly and set the insulated case receipt on the counter. "I brought the good news first. Triple rate delivery." Lucia reached for the paper without thinking. Her eyes skimmed past the amount, then stopped at the client label printed beneath it. Marrow Estate. All the color drained from her face. Her fingers tightened so hard on the receipt it made a small cracking sound. Noah straightened. "Mom?" She looked at him as if she had seen a ghost come through the front door wearing her son's face. "What is it?" he asked. "Do you know that name?" Lucia's lips parted, but for a second nothing came out. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "If they saw you," she said, staring at the paper, "everything will start again." Lucia did not let go of the receipt for a long time. She kept staring at the printed words, as if they might rearrange themselves into something harmless, if she waited long enough. Marrow Estate. The letters sat there in cheap black ink, ordinary and flat, and yet they had turned her face the color of ash in less than a second. Noah had seen fear on her before, at doctors' offices, when bills came, when she thought Elena was out too late on the train. But this was different. This looked older, deeper, like she wasn't afraid of tonight. She was afraid of something that had started years ago and had never really ended. "Mom," Noah said again, softer this time. "Who are they?" Lucia blinked, as if she had to come back into the room before she could answer. She folded the receipt once, then again. Her hands were shaking. "No one you need to know," she said. That was how Noah knew it mattered. He stepped closer to the counter and lowered his voice, so he wouldn't wake Elena in the next room. "You don't look like that over no one. What is Marrow Estate?" Lucia put the folded receipt down too carefully. Like if she moved too fast everything inside her might spill out. "A place you are not going back to." Noah let out a breath through his nose. "That's not how this works. I don't choose the route. Dispatch does." "Then tell them no. It pays triple after 10. "I don't care." That made him pause. Lucia cared about every dollar. She hated needing money from him, hated the sound of him leaving before dark and coming back after midnight, hated that Elena checked grocery prices like a mother of 3 instead of a college sophomore. For her to say she didn't care about the money meant she cared about something else much more. Noah leaned one hand against the counter. "You know I can't just turn down the route. Not right now." Lucia looked at him then. Really looked at him. Her eyes moved over his face the way people did when they were measuring loss before it happened. "You can, and you will." He felt irritation push up first. It was easier than fear. "You want me to quit the only route tonight that made any real money because of a name on a receipt you won't explain?" "Yes." "Why? Because I said so." He almost laughed, not because it was funny, because it wasn't, because he was too old and too tired and too buried under real problems for that kind of answer. Elena appeared in the kitchen doorway then, hair tied up, one sock on and one missing, her expression already annoyed. "Can you two at least wait until morning to have your mysterious family argument?" Lucia straightened a little too fast. "Go back to bed." Elena looked from her mother to Noah to the folded receipt on the counter. "That bad, huh?" "Noah took a delivery," Lucia said. "He won't be taking another." Elena frowns. "Who?" "Says me." That shut the room down for half a second. "Lucia almost never pulled rank," she asked, she pleaded. She tried to soften things before they broke. When she used that voice, it meant there was something underneath it she didn't trust herself to say. Noah picked up the receipt again. "I'm not doing this blind, Mom. If there's something real here, tell me. If someone there hurt you, say that. If I'm missing something, tell me what." Lucia's throat moved. For one long second he thought she might. Instead she said, "Some names bring trouble with them. That's all." "That's not all. It has to be." She turned away then and gripped the edge of the sink. Noah saw it. The small shift in her shoulders. The effort. This wasn't stubbornness for the sake of it. This was her holding something back because saying it out loud might break more than silence. He wanted to push. He also wanted to stop, because she looked tired enough to fold in half. Elena stepped into the kitchen and reached for a glass. What exactly is this place? Noah answered before Lucia could. Big house on the lake, rich owner, security gate, private nurse situation. Real old money feeling. Elena made a face. So a billionaire. Basically, Lucia closed her eyes. That one detail seemed to land harder than the rest. Noah watched her and felt a colder thought begin to form. It wasn't just that she knew the name. It was that she knew the world attached to it. Not from newspapers. Not from gossip. From somewhere too close. He let it go for the night, because there was nothing humane about cornering a sick woman in her own kitchen at 1 in the morning. But he did not let it go inside himself. He lay awake on the couch until nearly 4, staring at the ceiling and replaying every second from the mansion. The marble floor, the shattered glass, the woman in the wheelchair, the silence that felt staged, and now this. His mother going white at the sight of a printed label. By morning Lucia was acting as if nothing had happened. That only made it worse. She made coffee. She asked Elena whether she had class at 10 or 11. She reminded Noah that the landlord had texted about the back steps again. It was too neat, too ordinary. The whole thing felt like a bandage pressed over a wound that had started bleeding through. Noah waited until Elena left before trying again. Lucia was at the table sorting out her medication for the day. The sunlight through the window made everything look colder. Her pill organizer, her cracked mug, the unpaid electric bill tucked under a grocery flyer. No one you need to know, he said quietly. That the story you're sticking with? Lucia didn't look up. Yes. He sat across from her. Then why did you say if they saw me, everything would start again? Her fingers stopped over the pillbox. For a second, he thought she might tell him the truth. Instead she said, sometimes people from a certain world decide they own the ending of your life. Even after years. Even after you leave. Noah felt his chest tighten. Who are they? Lucia looked at him, tired and defensive and sad all at once. People with money, lawyers, records. Friends and places regular people never get near, that kind of family. What kind of family are we talking about? The kind you stay away from if you want peace. He sat back. So you did know them. Lucia said nothing. That silence told him more than a confession would have. He worked through the day with a buzz under his skin he could not shake. Around noon, dispatch updated the evening routes. The premium marrow run was still there. Same address. Same window. Same rate. He stared at the screen for a long time. Then Marcus wandered by with a sandwich in one hand and said, "What, you in love with the app?" Noah showed him the route. Marcus whistled. Again? She must be burning through staff and prescriptions both. Noah hesitated. You ever hear anything about the Marrows besides the usual? Marcus shrugged. Depends what you mean by usual. They got money, they got enemies, they got the kind of history people lower their voices for. There was some old scandal years back, I think. Family fight, inheritance thing. Engagement blew up maybe. Not sure. Rich people always got drama with nicer wallpaper. That should have made Noah laugh. It didn't. Why? Marcus asked. You thinking of turning it down? Noah looked at the number on the screen again. Dialysis, tuition, groceries, rent. Then he thought of Lucia's face. I'm thinking, he said slowly, that sometimes a route's not just a route. Marcus studied him for a moment and to his credit, didn't joke this time. Just be careful, man. Houses like that? They don't pull people in by accident. The second night at Marrow Estate was quieter outside. No shouting from the doorway, no broken glass. Just the black iron gate, the camera, the long drive lit with expensive restraint. But silence could be worse than chaos. Silence meant people had already decided what not to say. Mrs. Bell opened the door again. In daylight, or what passed for daylight under a heavy winter sky, she looked older. She still stood straight. Still held herself with quiet dignity. But there were dark half-moons under her eyes, and one wrist was wrapped in a support brace, partly hidden by her sleeve. You again, she said. And something like recognition passed over her face. Not warmth exactly, more interest than before. Pharmacy, Noah said. I know. She signed for the package, then glanced up the staircase before stepping aside. Wait one moment, Noah almost said no. He almost handed over the bag and left. But something in her tone made him stay. From somewhere deeper in the house came the low hum of an elevator. Then the sound of a chair motor, slow, controlled, followed by a woman's voice, sharp and tired. I said, I don't want broth. Broth is what people bring when they want to feel kind without doing anything useful. Mrs. Bell closed her eyes for half a second, as if those words had landed on a bruise. One moment she repeated more softly, then disappeared down the hall. Noah stood in the entryway with wealth rising around him in polished stone, and old wood and cold air that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. No family portraits, no clutter. No signs anyone laughed here. It was a mansion, yes, but more than that it was a fortress. Built not just to keep people out, built to keep something in. Then he saw her. Evelyn Merrill rolled into view at the end of the hallway, her wheelchair turning with precise, impatient control. She wore a dark cashmere wrap over a cream blouse. Her face looked even sharper than the night before. Controlled, expensive, unforgiving. But there was something else in it too. Not weakness, never that. Exhaustion maybe. The kind no amount of money could hide all the way. She didn't look at Noah at first, then she did. Her eyes moved over him once, head to boots. Delivery jacket, cheap gloves, working man. For one brief second something in her expression changed. Not recognition, calculation. It was gone so fast he almost thought he imagined it. Mrs. Bell returned with the package in hand. Thank you, she said to Noah quickly, too quickly. That'll be all. Noah nodded and turned to leave. Behind him, Evelyn said, wait. He stopped. When he turned back she was still looking at him with that same cool measuring stare. Your name, she said. What is it? Noah Vega. The silence that followed was only 2 seconds long. But it felt much longer. Then Evelyn's face closed again. You may go. He left with the winter air hitting his face hard enough to wake him fully. He made it all the way back to the van before he realized his heart was beating too fast. Not because she had been rude. That part he expected. Because of that tiny pause after he gave his name. Because Lucia had gone white at the estate label. Because a rich woman in a wheelchair had just looked at him like she was sorting through old ghosts. That night, he came home later than usual. Lucia was waiting in the kitchen again. She did not ask how work went. She looked straight at his face and asked, did she see you? Noah put his keys on the counter. So it's a she now. Lucia didn't answer. He took one step closer. Who is Evelyn Merrill? Lucia's breathing changed, shallow, uneven. Her hand moved to the back of a chair as if she needed it there. And when she finally spoke her voice sounded like it had come from very far away. She was the woman I loved most, Lucia whispered. And the woman my life never survived. Noah didn't respond right away. He just stood there. One hand resting on the back of the chair Lucia had grabbed. His mind trying to catch up with what she had just said. Loved. Not worked for. Not new. Loved. That word didn't belong in the version of the story he had built in his head over the last 24 hours. Elena's in the other room, Lucia said quickly, almost like she regretted letting it slip. We're not talking about this now. No, Noah said quietly, we are. She shook her head. Not like this. Then how? His voice didn't rise, but it tightened. Because right now I'm delivering medication to a billionaire who looked at me like she recognized something. And you're telling me she was the most important person in your life like it's nothing. It's not nothing, Lucia said, and for the first time her voice cracked. That's the problem. Noah pulled out the chair and sat across from her. Then start somewhere. Just start. Lucia looked down at her hands. For a moment she seemed older than she had ever looked before. Not physically, emotionally. Like the weight of holding something in for too long had finally found a crack. We were not supposed to be friends, she said slowly. That's the easiest way to explain it. Noah leaned forward slightly. Why? Because of where we came from, Shesh. Because of who her family was. Because of what mine wasn't. She let out a quiet breath and went on. I started working for Harold Merrill when I was 23. Personal assistant. Scheduling, paperwork, errands. I thought it was the best job I would ever get. I was proud of it. Noah listened, his mind already rearranging everything he thought he knew about his mother's past. I met Evelyn a few weeks after I started, Lucia said. She was different back then. Not soft. She was never soft, but curious. She asked questions people like her weren't supposed to ask, about me, about my family, about what I wanted. Lucia's lips moved faintly. Almost like she was remembering something she hadn't let herself revisit in years. She didn't treat me like I was invisible, she said. That matters more than people think. Noah felt something shift in his chest at that. He knew that feeling. Being seen, really seen. It wasn't something people in their world took for granted. We spent time together, Lucia continued. At first in small ways, coffee runs, late nights at the office when her father was out of town, then more. She trusted me, I trusted her. And her family? Noah asked. Lucia's expression hardened. Her father noticed. Noah didn't need more explanation than that. He didn't like it, Lucia said. Not because of me. Because of what it looked like. His daughter close to someone like me. It didn't fit his version of the world. What did he do? Lucia hesitated. At first? Nothing obvious. He just reminded me of my position. In small ways, a comment here, a correction there. The kind that sounds polite if you don't know how to hear it. Noah nodded slowly. He knew that language too. People didn't always need to shout to make you feel small. And Evelyn? He asked. She didn't care, Lucia said, and for the first time there was a flicker of something like warmth in her voice. That was the problem. She didn't understand how much power her father over everything, over everyone. Lucia went quiet for a moment. Noah waited. What happened? He asked. Lucia looked at him then, and something in her eyes shifted again. This time it wasn't just fear. It was something closer to guilt. There was an incident, she said carefully. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting tonight. No, it's not. His voice stayed low, but there was steel in it now. You said she was the most important person in your life. You said your life didn't survive her. That doesn't come from an incident. That comes from something that destroys everything. Lucia closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were wet, but she didn't let the tears fall. You think you're ready to hear it, she said. You're not. Try me. She shook her head. Noah leaned back frustrated, but he could see it. The line she wasn't going to cross, not yet. He changed direction. She asked my name, he said. Lucia's head snapped up. What tonight? She stopped me before I left, asked my name. Lucia's breathing hitched. And you told her? Of course I told her. What was I supposed to do, lie? Yes, the word came out too fast. Noah stared at her. Why? Lucia's hands tightened again. Because names matter in that house. They remember names. They remember everything, she added, almost to herself. Noah let that settle. She didn't say anything else, he continued. Just looked at me for a second. Then told me to go. Lucia exhaled slowly, but it didn't sound like relief. It sounded like a delay. You're not going back, she said again. I am, Noah replied. She shook her head harder this time. No. I don't have that option. You always have that option. No, Mom. People like us don't always get to walk away from money when we need it. That's not how this works. The words hung in the air between them. Lucia looked at him and something in her expression broke just a little. Not anger. Not even fear. Understanding. That's exactly how it works, she said softly. That's why people like them win. Noah didn't answer. Because part of him knew she was right. And part of him also knew they couldn't afford for her to be right. The next evening, he stood outside Marrow Estate again. The wind off the lake was worse tonight. It cut through his jacket like it had something personal against him. He rang the intercom, gave his name, and waited. The gate opened, same driveway, same lights. Same house that looked perfect from the outside, and wrong the second you stepped inside. Mrs. Bell answered the door again. But this time she didn't bother hiding the fatigue in her face. You're back, she said. I'm on the route, Noah replied. She studied him for a second. Most people ask to be taken off after one visit. I guess I'm not most people. A faint, tired smile touched her lips. No, she said. You're not? She stepped aside. Come in. Inside, the house felt quieter than before. Not calmer, just quieter, like something had been pushed down. Where's your nurse tonight? Noah asked. Mrs. Bell let out a breath. Gone. Another one? She lasted 2 days. That's longer than most. Noah glanced towards a staircase. So it's just you? And the staff who keep their distance, she said. This house runs on people who don't stay too close. Noah didn't miss that. Mrs. Bell took the package, but didn't move to dismiss him right away. Instead, she looked at him carefully. You said your name was Vega. Noah's shoulders tightened slightly. Yeah. She nodded once, slowly, as if confirming something she hadn't been sure about before. You have your mother's eyes. The words hit harder than they should have. You know her? Noah asked. Mrs. Bell didn't answer right away. She looked past him, toward the hallway, as if measuring whether it was safe to say anything at all. Then she said very quietly, I knew a girl with that name a long time ago. Noah felt his pulse pick up. Lucia Vega, he said. Mrs. Bell's gaze snapped back to his face. And that was answer enough. Before either of them could say anything else, a voice cut through the hallway. Mrs. Bevelin, sharp, controlled, tired. Mrs. Bell straightened instantly. Yes, Mom. There was a pause, then the sound of the wheelchair moving closer. Noah didn't turn this time. He waited. The chair stopped a few feet behind him. Why is he still here? Evelyn asked. Mrs. Bell hesitated. He just arrived with your medication. Another pause. Then quieter, more focused. Turn around. Noah did. Evelyn looked at him the way someone looks at a problem they haven't solved yet. Her eyes moved over his face again. Slower this time. Searching. Then she said something that made the air in the room change.
Take off your jacket.
Noah frowned slightly. What? I said take it off. There was no anger in her voice. That made it worse. He hesitated for a fraction of a second, then pulled off his jacket. Evelyn's gaze dropped to his wrist. To the thin worn silver bracelet he never took off. Lucia's bracelet. Evelyn's fingers tightened on the armrest. And for the first time her composure cracked, just slightly. Where did you get that? She asked. Noah's throat went dry. My mother, he said. The silence that followed wasn't just heavy, it was dangerous. Evelyn looked up at him slowly, and this time there was no doubt in her eyes. Only recognition. And something else. Something closer to shock. Then she said quietly, we have a problem. The word lingered in the room longer than it should have. A problem. Not a coincidence, not a question. A problem. Noah didn't move. He felt the weight of it settle somewhere in his chest, slow and heavy. Like something that had been falling for years and had just finally hit the ground. What kind of problem? He asked. Evelyn didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed on the bracelet, then slowly lifted back to his face. The sharpness from before was still there, but it had changed. It wasn't just control anymore, it was calculation. Where is your mother? She asked. Noah's jaw tightened. Why? Because if she gave you that, Evelyn said, her voice low but steady, then she already knows this was going to happen. That doesn't answer my question. No, Evelyn said, it doesn't, and it won't. Not until I understand exactly how much she told you. Noah let out a breath through his nose. Not much. Just enough to know you used to know each other. Evelyn's expression flickered. Not surprise. Something closer to irritation. She would say that, Evelyn murmured. Mrs. Bell shifted slightly beside them. Mom, leave us, Evelyn said, without looking at her. Mrs. Bell hesitated for half a second. Then she nodded and stepped away, disappearing down the hallway. The silence that followed felt different now. More contained, more dangerous. Noah slipped his jacket back on slower this time. If you're about to tell me I shouldn't be here, you're late, he said. I've already been here twice. Evelyn ignored the tone. How old are you? 27. Her fingers tightened again on the armrest. It was small, almost invisible, but Noah noticed it. Your birthday, she said. Month and day. No, Noah said. Evelyn's gaze snapped back to him. Excuse me? You don't get to interrogate me like that, he said. Not without telling me why. For a second, something like anger flashed across her face. Not explosive. Controlled, the kind that had been practiced for years. You're standing in my house, she said. Holding something that does not belong in your world. I have every right to ask. And I have every right to know why it matters. Noah cut in. The air tightened again. Evelyn studied him. Really studied him this time. Not just his face, his stance. The way he didn't back down. The way he held his ground without trying to dominate the space. It was familiar. Too familiar. You speak like her, she said quietly. Noah didn't respond. Evelyn looked away first. That, more than anything, told Noah this wasn't a normal conversation. When did she give you that bracelet? Evelyn asked, her voice softer now but not weaker. Noah hesitated, just for a second. Years ago, he said. I don't even remember exactly when. Evelyn nodded slowly, like she was placing something in a timeline only she could see. And she never told you where it came from? No. She told you not to ask. Noah's eyes narrowed slightly. Yeah. A faint tremulous breath escaped Evelyn's lips. Of course she did. Noah took a step closer, not aggressive, just enough to close the distance. You're going to explain what this is, he said. Because right now, it looks like you know my mother a lot better than she's willing to admit. And I'm tired of being the only one in the room who doesn't know what's going on. Evelyn's gaze returned to him, steady again. But the edge had shifted. It wasn't just control anymore. It was something closer to reluctance. Your mother worked for my family, she said. I know that. She didn't just work, Evelyn continued. She was trusted. Noah waited. Evelyn's jaw tightened slightly. That is not a word I use lightly, I figured. Another pause. She had access, Evelyn went on, to things she should not have had access to. Information, documents, personal matters. Noah's brow furrowed. You think she stole something? I didn't say that. You're implying it. Evelyn's voice sharpened again. I am saying that when someone from outside a family like mine becomes too close to it, there are always consequences. For them. For us, Noah? So what happened, he asked. Evelyn looked at him. Really looked at him. Then she said something that didn't match the cold tone she had held until now. She disappeared. Noah blinked. What? Your mother, Evelyn said. She was there one day, gone the next. No explanation, no goodbye. Noah shook his head slightly. That's not what she said. Evelyn's eyes sharpened. What did she say? That your family ruined her life. For a second, something cracked. Not visibly, not dramatically. But Noah saw it, a shift behind the eyes, a memory pushing through. Evelyn leaned back slightly in her chair. That's one way to describe it. That's her way, Noah said. Evelyn didn't respond immediately. Instead, she reached for the arm of her wheelchair and adjusted herself slightly. Like the conversation had suddenly become heavier than her body could comfortably hold. When she left, Evelyn said slowly, what kind of complications? Legal? Financial, personal. That's vague. It's accurate. Noah exhaled, frustrated. You keep doing that. You keep talking like there's something big you're not saying. There is, Evelyn said. Then say it. Evelyn's eyes held his. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then she said, very quietly, your mother was the last person who saw my father before everything collapsed. Noah felt his stomach drop. What does that mean? It means Evelyn said that whatever happened that night she was part of it. Noah shook his head immediately. No, you don't know that. I know her. Evelyn's voice didn't rise, but it hardened again. You know the version of her that raised you. That is not the same as knowing who she was 30 years ago. Noah stepped closer now. The distance between them almost gone. And you do? He shot back. Evelyn didn't flinch. I know what was left behind, she said. And I know what was taken. Noah's chest tightened. What was taken? He asked. Evelyn's gaze flicked once more to the bracelet on his wrist. Then back to his eyes. Answers, she said. The word landed heavier than anything else she had said. Noah stood there, trying to process it, trying to find the line between accusation and something else. Something closer to regret. You think she owes you something, he said. Evelyn's expression didn't change. I think, she said slowly, that if she gave you that bracelet then she expected this moment eventually. Noah's pulse picked up. What moment? Evelyn didn't answer. Instead she reached down to the side of her chair, opened a small drawer built into the frame, and pulled something out. A photograph. She held it out toward him. Noah hesitated, then took it. The paper was old, edges worn, the colors slightly faded. There were 3 people in the picture. A younger version of Evelyn. Standing straight, confident, nothing like the woman in front of him now. Next to her, a man Noah didn't recognize. Tall, clean cut. The kind of presence that felt expensive even in a photograph. And on the other side Noah's breath caught. Lucia, younger, smiling, standing closer to Evelyn than anyone else in the frame. Like she belonged there. Like she had every right to be. Noah stared at the image, something in his chest tightening in a way he couldn't explain. They were happy, he said quietly. For a moment Evelyn replied. Noah looked up. What happened to him? He asked, nodding toward the man. Evelyn didn't look at the photo. He died, she said.
How?
Another pause. Then the same night your mother disappeared. The room went still again. Noah's fingers tightened slightly around the photograph. And suddenly this wasn't just about a bracelet, or a job, or even a past his mother refused to talk about. It was something else. Something darker. Something that had been buried for a long time, and was starting to come back up. Noah looked back at Evelyn, his voice lower now. What are you really saying? Evelyn met his gaze. And for the first time since he had met her, there was no distance in her voice. Only something raw. I'm saying, she said, that the last time your mother was in this house, someone didn't walk out alive. The silence that followed didn't just feel heavy. It felt irreversible. The word didn't just sit in the air. It settled into Noah's bones. Someone didn't walk out alive. For a moment he thought he misheard her. That maybe this was just another one of Evelyn's cold, controlled exaggerations. The kind rich people used to make everything sound bigger than it was. But she didn't look like she was exaggerating. She looked tired. Noah let out a slow breath, trying to steady himself. You're saying my mother was there when someone died? That's not the same as saying she did anything. Evelyn didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed on him, but they weren't sharp anymore. They were searching. I'm saying, she replied, that after that night everything changed. For her. For me. For this entire house. That still doesn't mean she had anything to do with it. No, Evelyn said, it doesn't. The pause that followed felt important. But it also doesn't mean she didn't. Noah's jaw tightened. He shook his head once, sharp. You don't get to say that about her. I'm not accusing her, Evelyn said quietly. Then what are you doing? Evelyn leaned back slightly in her chair. For the first time since Noah had met her, she looked like someone who wasn't entirely sure what she was doing. I'm trying to understand why she ran, she said. Noah let out a bitter breath. She didn't run. She left because your family forced her out. Evelyn's gaze flickered. That's what she told you. That's what happened. Evelyn studied him for a long moment, then gave a small, almost invisible nod. That's what I thought too, she said. Noah frowned. What do you mean thought? Evelyn didn't answer immediately. She turned her wheelchair slightly, facing the large window that overlooked the dark lake beyond the estate. The reflection in the glass showed her face more clearly than the dim lighting inside the room. You see a rich family and assume power, she said. Control. Certainty. Noah didn't speak. And you're not wrong, she continued. But what people don't see is how fragile that control actually is. One mistake, one secret, One person in the wrong place at the wrong time, and everything starts to crack. She turned back to him. That night, she said, my father wasn't supposed to be in that part of the house. Noah's chest tightened slightly. And your mother wasn't supposed to be there either. Silence. Noah felt something shifting. Not just in the story, in the way Evelyn was telling it. Then why were they, he asked. Evelyn's lips pressed together. That's the part no one ever gave me a straight answer to. Noah stepped closer again, still holding the photograph. So you're jissing. I'm reconstructing, Evelyn corrected. Based on what? On what was left behind. Noah let out a quiet scoff. That's not evidence, that's assumption. Evelyn didn't react to the tone this time. She simply nodded once, like she accepted the criticism. You're right, she said. It is. That threw Noah off. He wasn't used to her agreeing with him. So why are you saying it like it's fact? He asked. Evelyn looked at him, and this time, there was no edge in her voice at all. Because for 30 years, she said, no one has been willing to say anything else. That landed differently. Noah felt it. Not as an accusation, as something heavier, a gap. You never found out what actually happened, he asked. Evelyn shook her head slowly. No, you're telling me a billionaire family just let that go? A faint humorless smile touched her lips. We didn't let it go, we buried it. Noah's grip tightened on the photo. And your mother, Evelyn added, was part of what got buried with it. The room felt colder. Noah looked down at the image again. His mother, younger, happier. Standing in a world that clearly wasn't hers, and somehow looking like she belonged anyway. She never told me any of this, he said quietly. She wouldn't, Evelyn replied. Why not? Evelyn held his gaze. Because if she told you the truth, you would start asking the same questions you're asking now. Noah swallowed. And he pressed. And that would bring you here, Evelyn said. A beat. And here, she added softly, is not a safe place to look for answers. Noah let that sit for a moment, then he shook his head. You think I'm just going to walk away, he asked. I think you should. I'm not. Evelyn's eyes hardened slightly again. Not with anger. With something closer to concern. You don't understand what you're stepping into, she said. Then explain it. Evelyn didn't respond. That silence told Noah everything. You don't know either, he said. Evelyn looked away. And that confirmed it. For the first time, Noah saw it clearly. She wasn't guarding the truth, she was missing it. And that made everything more dangerous. Noah exhaled slowly. Then we find out. Evelyn turned back sharply. No, yes. Noah, you just said it yourself, he cut in. No one's been willing to say anything else for 30 years. That doesn't mean there's nothing to find. It means no one's tried hard enough. Evelyn stared at him. There was something new in her expression now. Not resistance. Recognition. You think this is some kind of puzzle you can solve, she said. I think it's my life, Noah replied. The words hung there. Simple, honest, unavoidable. Evelyn looked at him for a long time. Longer than she had at any point before. Then slowly she let out a breath. Even if you're right, she said, you won't like what you find. Noah nodded once, maybe not. But I'd rather know than keep guessing. Evelyn's fingers tightened slightly on the armrest again. You sound like him, she said. Noah frowned. Who? Evelyn glanced briefly at the photograph in his hand. Graham, she said. The name lingered. The man in the photo. The one who died. What about him? Noah asked. Evelyn hesitated. That was new too. He didn't like unanswered questions either, she said. It's what got him killed. The room went quiet again. This time it wasn't just heavy, it was sharp. Noah felt something settle into place. Not clarity, not yet, but direction. If someone killed him, Noah said slowly, then someone knows what happened that night. Evelyn didn't respond. But she didn't look away either. And that was enough. Noah stepped back slightly, slipping the photograph carefully onto the nearby table. I'm not walking away from this, he said. You can help me or not. But I'm not pretending this is nothing. Evelyn watched him, for a long time. Then finally she spoke. There's one place, she said. Noah paused. What place? Evelyn's gaze shifted toward the hallway, toward the deeper parts of the house. The parts that felt older, quieter. Records, she said. Old ones. Things my father never threw away. Things no one was supposed to see. Noah felt his pulse pick up. And you have access? He asked. Evelyn didn't answer immediately. Then I do, a beat. But if we go looking, she added, her voice dropping slightly, we don't just risk finding the truth. Noah waited. Evelyn met his eyes. We risk proving that someone worked very hard to make sure it stayed hidden. The implication settled in slowly. Not just a past mistake. A deliberate cover-up. Noah nodded once. Then we're already too late to pretend it doesn't matter. Evelyn didn't argue. She just turned her chair slightly, facing the hallway fully now. The house felt different again. Like it was listening. Like it had been waiting. And as Noah followed her deeper inside, one thought stayed with him. If the truth had been buried this carefully, then whoever buried it might still be watching. The hallway felt longer than it should have. Not physically. Noah could see the end of it. But every step carried a kind of weight. Like the house itself was resisting them. Like it had spent years keeping things buried, and now something inside it didn't want to let go. Evelyn moved ahead of him, her wheelchair quiet on the polished floor. She didn't look back. She didn't explain where they were going. She just kept moving. Noah followed, his eyes scanning everything. The walls, the doors, the subtle shift from modern renovations to older, untouched sections of the estate. The deeper they went, the less the house felt like a home. It felt like storage, like memory, or something that used to be alive and wasn't anymore. You keep this part locked? He asked. Why? Evelyn didn't slow down, because Noah frowned slightly. That wasn't an answer, but he let it go. They reached a heavy wooden door at the end of the hallway. Dark, solid, no visible handle from where he stood. Evelyn reached to the side panel, pressed her thumb against a hidden scanner. A soft click-click. The door unlocked. That's not just for storage, Noah said quietly. No, Evelyn replied, it isn't. The door opened inward. The air inside felt different. Colder, still. Noah stepped in behind her. It wasn't a room, it was an archive. Shelves lined every wall. Boxes, files, old cabinets with labels faded by time. The kind of place no one cleaned unless they had to. The kind of place that existed for one reason. To keep things that weren't meant to be seen. Noah let out a slow breath. You've had this here the whole time. Evelyn moved deeper inside. My father believed in documentation. That's one way to say it. It's the accurate way, she said. Noah watched her as she rolled toward a section in the back. Her movements weren't hesitant. But they weren't casual either. She knew this room. She just didn't come here often. You've been in here before, Noah said. Evelyn stopped. For a second she didn't move at all. Once, she said, and she didn't turn around. It was enough. Noah didn't press. Not yet. Instead he walked slowly along one of the shelves, reading the labels. Years, departments. Legal filings, financial records, everything neatly categorized. Everything controlled. Until it wasn't. Where do we start? He asked. Evelyn turned slightly, scanning the room, then she pointed. Private records, she said. End of the row. Noah followed her direction. The section looked older than the rest. Less maintained, like it had been closed off even within the archive itself. He pulled one of the drawers open. Dust shifted. Inside were folders, thick, heavy, names, dates. Noah flipped through a few, not fully reading yet, just getting a sense. This wasn't just business, this was personal. Your father kept files on people? Noah asked. Yes, everyone? Everyone who mattered, Evelyn said. Noah paused. And my mother mattered? Evelyn didn't answer directly. She was close enough, she said. That wasn't comforting. Noah kept flipping. Then he stopped. His fingers froze on one folder. It didn't look different from the others. Same color. Same wear. But the name, he stared at it. Lucia Vega. The room seemed to go quieter. Noah swallowed slowly, then pulled the file out. It was heavier than he expected. Evelyn noticed immediately. Her chair turned toward him, faster this time. You found it. Noah didn't look at her. He was still staring at the name. You knew it was here. Evelyn's voice was quiet. I suspected. That's not the same. No, she said. It isn't. Noah opened the folder. The first page wasn't what he expected. It wasn't a report. It was a photograph. His mother, older than the one in the picture earlier. Not recent, but not as young either. Taken without her knowing. Walking, looking over her shoulder. A surveillance shot. Noah's stomach tightened. They were watching her, he said. Evelyn didn't deny it. They watched everyone who left, she said. Why? To make sure they stayed gone. The words hit harder than anything else so far. Noah flipped to the next page. Documents. Employment records. Signatures. Then, a contract. He recognized the format immediately. Non-disclosure. Pages and pages of legal language designed to do one thing. Silence. They made her sign this, Noah said. Yes, or what? Evelyn's voice didn't change. Or she would lose everything. Noah let out a quiet breath. She didn't have anything. She had you, Evelyn said. The words landed differently. Noah went still? He asked. Evelyn didn't look away this time. The timing, she said. You said you were 27. Noah's chest tightened. Evelyn gestured toward the file. Look at the date. Noah's eyes dropped. He scanned the page quickly, then slower. Then again. The contract had been signed 27 years ago. The same year he was born. The room shifted again. This time it wasn't just tension, it was realization. She left right after. Noah said quietly, yes, because of this. Yes. Noah flipped further. More documents. Medical records, partial. Redacted. His eyes caught something. A term. He didn't fully understand it, but he recognized enough. Pregnancy. His hands stilled again. They knew, he said. Evelyn's voice was softer now.
Yes.
Noah looked up. They knew she was pregnant. Yes. And they still made her sign this? Evelyn held his gaze. They made sure she signed it because she was pregnant. The difference hit like a blow. Not coincidence. Leverage. Noah's jaw tightened hard enough to hurt. They used me, he said. They used the situation, Evelyn corrected, but her voice carried no defense. That's the same thing. Evelyn didn't argue. Because it was. Noah flipped to the last section of the file. More pages. Different handwriting. Not typed, personal notes. He frowned slightly, scanning them. Then something caught his eye. A name. Not Lucia, not Harold. Someone else. Graham. Noah's breath slowed. Read more carefully now. The notes weren't complete sentences. More like fragments, observations. Concerns. Mentions of disagreements. Arguments. Something about records not matching. Something about child B. Noah's chest tightened again. He looked up. Did your father have another kid? He asked. Evelyn didn't answer immediately. Then she said, not officially. Noah held her gaze. But unofficially, he pressed. Evelyn's expression shifted. Not denial, not confirmation. Something in between. That's what Graham believed, she said. Noah felt the ground under the story shift again. And what did your father believe? Evelyn's lips pressed together. That it was a problem, she said. The same word again. Problem. Noah looked back at the notes. Child B. Not a name, not a person, a label. Something to be managed, something to be erased. Noah's pulse started to rise. Where are the rest of the records? He asked. Evelyn frowned slightly. That should be everything. No, Noah said, shaking his head. This stops halfway. There's more. He flipped through again, faster this time. Nothing. The pages ended abruptly. Like someone had taken the rest. Evelyn's expression hardened. That's not possible, she said. Noah looked up at her. Someone already got here first. The room went still. Evelyn's eyes moved slowly across the shelves. Then to the open drawer, then back to Noah. No one has access to this room, she said. Noah held her gaze. You do, he said. A beat. And anyone who knows you do. The implication settled in. Not just buried truth, someone protecting it. Still, Evelyn's voice dropped quieter than before. Close the file, she said. Noah didn't move. Why? Because if someone has been here, she said, then we're not the only ones looking. Noah's grip tightened on the folder. Good, he said. Then maybe we'll finally get answers. Evelyn's eyes didn't soften this time. They won't come to give answers, she said. Noah met her gaze. What will they come for? Evelyn didn't look away. For you. The word hit harder than anything else in the room. And suddenly, the archive didn't feel like a place full of the past anymore. It felt like the beginning of something that was about to happen next. Noah didn't close the file. Not right away. His fingers stayed on the edge of the folder like, letting go of it, would mean losing something he had just barely started to understand. The words still echoed in his head. For you. It didn't feel like a warning anymore. It felt like a prediction. You think someone's watching the house? He asked. Evelyn didn't answer immediately. Her eyes had already shifted past him, scanning the room again. Not casually, not like before. This time, it was different, measured, careful. They always watch the house, she said. Noah frowned. Who is they? Evelyn looked back at him. People who benefit from things staying buried. That wasn't specific, but it was enough. Noah let out a slow breath, then finally closed the file. Not because he was done, but because he understood something now. This wasn't just about digging. It was about being seen digging. We can't leave this here, he said. Evelyn's eyes narrowed slightly. You want to take it? Yes, that file belongs to this estate. It belongs to my mother, Noah said. The words landed harder than he expected. Evelyn didn't argue immediately. Instead she studied him again. Not like a problem, not like an outsider. Like someone who was starting to step into a space he wasn't supposed to occupy. If someone has already accessed this, she said slowly, then removing it won't go unnoticed. It already hasn't gone unnoticed, Noah replied. You said it yourself. If they're watching, then they already know I'm here. A pause. Evelyn exhaled, quiet. That's true. The shift in her tone was small, but it mattered. She reached forward, closed the drawer Noah had left open, then turned her chair toward the door. We don't take the whole file, she said. Too obvious. Noah frowned. Then what? We take what matters. Noah hesitated. And what exactly matters? Evelyn didn't answer with words. She reached back into the drawer, pulled out the same folder again and flipped quickly through the pages. Her movements were faster now, more certain. Like she knew what she was looking for. She stopped at the section with Graham's handwritten notes. Her fingers paused. Then she carefully slid a few pages out. Not all of them. Just enough. Noah watched closely. Why those? Evelyn held the papers for a second before answering. Because these are the only parts that weren't meant to be official. That's what we need. Yes, she said. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. She handed them to him. Noah took them carefully, folding them just enough to fit inside his jacket. Now we leave, Evelyn said. Noah didn't argue. For the first time since stepping into the archive he felt it too. That quiet pressure, that sense that something had shifted. They moved toward the door without speaking. Evelyn pressed the panel again. The locks clicked. The door opened. The hallway outside felt warmer, but not safer. Noah glanced back once before stepping out. The archive looked the same. Silent. But now he knew better. Places like that didn't stay silent forever, they just waited. Evelyn closed the door behind them. The lock engaged automatically. She turned her chair, heading back the way they came. Go home tonight, she said. Noah blinked. What? Don't come back tomorrow. He frowned. That's not happening. Evelyn didn't slow down. This isn't a request. No, Noah said, catching up beside her. It sounds like one. She stopped abruptly. For a second he thought she was about to snap again. Shut him down. Remind him exactly where he stood. But she didn't. Instead she looked at him with something else entirely. Something heavier. You don't understand the kind of people you're about to cross, she said. No, Noah admitted, I don't. Then listen to someone who does. I am listening, he said. I just don't agree. Evelyn held his gaze. You think this is about truth, she said. It is. No, she replied quietly. It always has been. Noah shook his head. Not for me. Evelyn's expression didn't change. Then you're the only one in this situation it isn't about. That hit harder than he expected. But Noah didn't back down. Maybe, he said. But that doesn't mean I walk away. Evelyn studied him for another long moment. Then she nodded once, slow, like she had made a decision. Fine, she said. Then we do this carefully. Noah exhaled. That's all I'm asking? No, Evelyn said. It's not. What do you mean? Evelyn turned her chair again, continuing down the hallway. It means, she said, you're asking to be part of something that doesn't end clean. Noah followed. I never asked for clean, he said. That seemed to land somewhere deeper than anything else he had said so far. Evelyn didn't respond. They reached the main part of the house again. The lighting was brighter here. The air less heavy. But it didn't change the feeling. Noah slipped his hands into his jacket pockets, making sure the folded pages stayed hidden. Who would have access to that room besides you? He asked. Evelyn didn't hesitate this time. Very few people, she said. Names. She was quiet for a moment. Then, my cousin, she said. Victor Marrow. The name settled. Noah felt something click into place. And you trust him? He asked. Evelyn didn't answer right away. Then she said, I used to. That was enough. Noah nodded slowly. And now? Evelyn's voice dropped. Now I think he's been waiting. For what? For this to stay buried, she said. Or for someone else to be blamed when it doesn't. Noah's jaw tightened. So if he knows I'm here, Evelyn finished the thought. Then you're not just a delivery boy anymore. The words carried weight. A shift in identity. A shift in risk. They reached the front area of the house. Noah could see the entrance now. The place where this had all started. It felt different already. Like he had crossed some invisible line. He turned to Evelyn. I'm not disappearing, he said. I know. And I'm not handing this back. I know. A pause. Then Noah asked the question that had been building since they left the archive. What about my mother? Evelyn's expression changed again. Not sharp. Not guarded. Something closer to complicated. You talked to her, she said. Noah nodded slowly. And if she won't tell me? Evelyn held his gaze. Then we already have our answer. Noah frowned. What answer? Evelyn didn't soften it, that she's still protecting someone. The implication hit instantly. Not just the past, someone in the present. Noah's chest tightened. He turned toward the door. I'll find out, he said. Evelyn didn't stop him, but as he reached for the handle, she spoke one more time. Be careful how you ask. Noah glanced back. Why? Evelyn's eyes held his. Because the truth doesn't just come out, she said. It reacts. Noah stood there for a second longer. Then he nodded once and stepped outside into the night. The air felt colder than before. Or maybe it was just him. He walked down the driveway. Every step heavier than the last. The folded pages in his jacket felt like they were burning through the fabric. Not because of what they said, but because of what they meant. By the time he reached his car, he already knew one thing for certain. Tonight wasn't going to be a conversation. It was going to be a confrontation. And somewhere, whether they saw him or not, someone was already waiting for him to ask the wrong question. The drive home felt longer than usual. Not because of traffic. Not because of distance. Because Noah couldn't stop thinking about the silence he was about to walk into. His apartment building looked the same as always. Dim hallway lights. Peeling paint near the stairwell. A neighbor's TV playing too loud through thin walls. Nothing about it suggested secrets, or billionaires, or buried family records. And yet tonight, it felt like everything inside it had changed. He climbed the stairs slowly, one hand still in his jacket pocket, fingers pressing against the folded pages. He hadn't looked at them again, not yet. He didn't need to. He already knew they mattered. The door to his apartment was unlocked. That wasn't unusual. His mother rarely locked it when she was home. Still, something about it made him pause for half a second before pushing it open. The smell of cooking hit him first. Something simple: rice, soup. Normal, too normal, Noah? His mother's voice came from the kitchen. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Yeah, it's me. Lucia Vega appeared a moment later, wiping her hands on a towel. She looked tired, like she always did lately. But when she saw him, something else flashed across her face: relief, then tension. You're late, she said. I had another delivery. She nodded, but her eyes didn't leave his face. Like she was trying to read something before he even said it. Did you eat? She asked. No. I made enough for Mom, he said gently. She stopped. The word wasn't loud, but it carried enough weight to cut through the routine. Lucia's hand tightened slightly around the towel. What is it? She asked. Noah didn't answer right away. He walked past her into the small living room, then turned back. Where did you get the bracelet? He asked. The room went still. Lucia didn't move, not even a small reaction, but Noah saw it. The way her shoulders stiffened, just a fraction. The way her eyes shifted, just for a second, before settling back on him. I told you not to ask about that, she said quietly. I know. Then why are you asking again? Noah took a step closer. Because I met someone tonight who has the same one, he said. That did it. Lucia's grip on the towel tightened fully now. Her knuckles turned pale. Who? She asked. You know who, Noah said. Lucia looked down for a moment, then back up. Say it, Noah added. She didn't, so he did. Evelyn Marrow. The name landed like a stone. Lucia's face changed. Not just tension. Something deeper. Something older. You went there, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes. I told you not to go back. You told me not to take the job, Noah corrected. I didn't have a choice. There is always a choice, she said sharply. No, he said. Not when rent's due. Not when you need treatment. Not when everything depends on me saying yes to whatever pays. That hit. Lucia's expression softened for a moment, then hardened again. You don't understand what that place is, she said. No, Noah replied, but I'm starting to. A pause. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out the folded pages. Lucia saw them, and everything changed. Where did you get those? She asked, her voice dropping. Noah held them out slightly, not handing them over yet. From their archive, he said. From a file with your name on it. Lucia didn't move. You went into their records? She whispered. Yes, you shouldn't have done that. Why? Because those records don't belong to you. Noah let out a quiet breath. They're about you. That's not the same thing. The answer came too fast, too rehearsed. Noah stepped closer. They made you sign something, he said. A contract. The year I was born. Lucia's eyes closed briefly. That was all the confirmation he needed. They knew you were pregnant, he continued. They used it to force you to stay quiet. Lucia turned away. That's enough, she said. No, Noah replied. It's not. He moved around her, forcing her to look at him again. Who is Child B? He asked. Lucia froze. The reaction wasn't subtle this time. It was immediate. Noah, don't, he cut in. Don't tell me it's nothing. Don't tell me I'm reading it wrong. I saw it. It's in the notes. Graham wrote it. Lucia's breathing changed, slower, controlled, like she was trying to hold something down. You shouldn't have read that, she said. I did, Noah replied. And now I need to know what it means. Lucia shook her head. No, why not? Because it doesn't change anything. It changes everything. Noah, was there another child? He asked. The question hung there. Sharp, unavoidable. Lucia didn't answer, she just looked at him. And for the first time, Noah saw something he had never seen in her before. Guilt. Not the kind that comes from small lies. The kind that comes from something bigger. Something that had never been said out loud. You already know, she said quietly. Noah's chest tightened. No, he replied, I don't. Lucia, step closer now, her voice dropped. You think this is about them, she said. About their secrets, their money, their power. Noah didn't interrupt. But it's not, she continued. It's about survival. Whose? Noah asked. Lucia looked at him long. Hard. Yours, she said. Noah felt something shift again. Not just tension. Something deeper, more personal. What does that mean? He asked. Lucia reached out slowly and touched his arm. Not to stop him. Not to control him. Just to anchor herself. It means, she said, that everything I did, every choice I made, was to make sure you had a life that wasn't tied to them. Noah swallowed. And now? He asked. Lucia's hand tightened slightly. Now you're walking straight back into it, a beat. Then Noah asked the question he hadn't wanted to say out loud. Am I that child? He said. Lucia didn't answer immediately. But she didn't look away either. That was enough. The silence filled the room. Heavy, unavoidable. Then finally yes, she said. The word didn't come loud. But it landed like something breaking. Noah stepped back slightly. Not far, just enough to breathe. I knew it, he murmured. No, Lucia said softly. You guessed. He looked at her. What does that make me? He asked. Lucia's eyes filled, just slightly. Someone who should have never been part of their world, she said. Noah let out a breath. That's not an answer. It's the only one that matters. No, he said, it's not. His voice was steadier now, stronger. Who is my father? The question hung in the air. Lucia closed her eyes. For a moment Noah thought she wouldn't answer. Then she did. But not the way he expected. You think it's Harold, she said. Noah frowned. Isn't it? Lucia opened her eyes again. And shook her head. No. The room shifted again. Everything he thought he understood. Gun. Then who? He asked. Lucia hesitated. And that hesitation said everything. This is the part that gets people hurt, she said quietly. Noah stepped closer again. I'm already in it, he said. You said that yourself. Lucia's voice dropped even lower. He wasn't supposed to choose, she said. Noah frowned. Choose what? Lucia looked at him. And this time there was no way to soften it. No one was supposed to find out whose bloodline mattered more, she said. The words didn't just confuse him, they unsettled him. Mom? Noah said slowly. What are you talking about? Lucia's grip on his arm tightened. Your life, she said, was the result of a decision someone made that night, a beat, and someone else died because of it. The room went completely silent. Noah stared at her, his mind trying to catch up, trying to connect everything: the bracelet, the file, the archive, the missing pages, Evelyn's words. Someone didn't walk out alive. And now this. Noah's voice dropped to almost nothing. Who made the decision? Lucia didn't answer, not right away. But when she did, her voice was barely a whisper. Someone who is still alive, she said. The weight of that settled in slowly, then all at once. And for the first time since this started, Noah understood something clearly. This wasn't just about the past. It was about someone still out there, still protecting it, still controlling who knew, still deciding who mattered. Noah's chest tightened. Who? He asked again. Lucia looked at him, and for a second she almost said it. But then a knock hit the door, sharp, unexpected. Both of them froze. Another knock. Louder this time. Not polite, not patient. Noah turned his head slowly toward the door, his pulse rising. Lucia's grip tightened on his arm. Her voice dropped, urgent now. Don't open it. The knock came again. Heavier, deliberate. And in that moment, Noah knew, whoever was on the other side, was already ahead of them. The knock came again. Slow this time, measured. Like whoever stood outside already knew they would eventually open the door. Noah didn't move at first, his eyes stayed on Lucia. Her hand was still gripping his arm, tighter than before, her fingers cold. Don't, she whispered. Another knock. This one harder. Mr. Vega, a man's voice called from the other side. Calm, controlled. We know you're home. Noah felt his chest tighten. Lucia shook her head slightly. Noah, please. But something in him had already shifted. Fear was still there, yes. But it wasn't the same kind of fear as before. It wasn't confusion anymore. It was clarity. He gently pulled his arm free. If I don't open it, he said quietly. They're not going away. Lucia's eyes filled. You don't know that I do, he replied. Because if they found me here, they already know too much. Another pause. Then he walked toward the door. Each step felt louder than it should have. The small apartment suddenly felt smaller. The air heavier. He reached the handle. Hesitated for just a second. Then opened it. Two men stood outside, both in dark coats, clean, professional, not police, not random controlled. The one in front stepped slightly forward. Mr. Vega, he said again, voice even. We'd like a moment of your time. Noah didn't step aside. What do you want, he asked. The man glanced briefly past him, just enough to confirm Lucia was inside. Then his eyes returned to Noah. We're here to avoid unnecessary complications, he said, for you and for your family. Lucia's breath caught behind him. Noah didn't look back. Say what you came to say, he replied. The man nodded once. You've recently come into possession of documents that do not belong to you, he said. Materials connected to the Marrow estate. Noah's jaw tightened. They have my mother's name on them, he said. That does not make them yours. It makes them relevant. The man's expression didn't change. We're not here to debate relevance, he said. We're here to make an offer. Noah almost laughed. An offer? Yes. The second man, who had remained silent, stepped forward slightly and held out a slim envelope. No lawsuits, the first man continued. No investigations. No pressure placed on your mother's medical records, housing status, or employment history. The words were clean, but the meaning wasn't. Take it, the seconds said. Noah didn't. What's in it? He asked. A solution, the first man replied. You walk away, you return what you took, you stop asking questions, and your life remains stable. Noah looked at the envelope, then back at the man, and if I don't? The man held his gaze. Then, things become unpredictable, he said, a beat. Then, softer and unpredictable rarely favors people in your position. That was the moment, not the threat, not the money, but the assumption behind it, people in your position. Noah felt something settle inside him, not anger, not exactly, something steadier. You don't know my position, he said. The man's lips tightened just slightly. We know enough. Noah shook his head. No, he said. You know my address, my job, my bank account. He stepped forward now. But you don't know what I've already seen. The air shifted. The second man lowered the envelope slightly. The first man's tone changed just a fraction. Be careful, he said. Noah held his ground. Why, he asked. Because someone made a decision a long time ago that they don't want anyone else to understand. Neither man answered. That silence told him everything. From behind him Lucia spoke, her voice trembling. Noah, please? He didn't turn. I'm not signing anything, he said. You don't need to sign, the man replied. You just need to cooperate. No, Noah said, I need to understand. A long pause, then the man exhaled slowly. Understanding is not always a privilege you can afford, he said. Noah's voice stayed calm. Neither is silence, he replied. For the first time the man's composure cracked just slightly, not visibly, but enough. He glanced at his partner, then back at Noah. This isn't about you, he said. Noah almost smiled. It never is, he replied. Another silence. Then the man stepped back. Think carefully, he said. Opportunities like this don't repeat themselves. He nodded toward the envelope still held out. Noah didn't take it. After a second, the second man lowered his hand. The two of them turned and walked down the hallway. No rushing, no anger, just quiet certainty. That was what made it worse. Noah closed the door slowly. The lock clicked. The apartment felt even smaller now. Lucia was standing exactly where he had left her. She looked older somehow, more fragile. What did they offer, she asked. Money, Noah said, and pressure. Lucia nodded, like she expected that. They'll come back, she said. I know, and next time they won't ask. Noah walked past her, placing the envelope, still unopened, on the small table. I'm not giving it back, he said. Lucia's eyes filled again. This isn't about pride, she said. This is about survival. No, Noah replied quietly. This is about truth. He turned to face her again. You said everything you did was to protect me, he said. Lucia nodded. Yes. Then let me do the same. Her expression broke. That's not the same thing. It is, he said. Because I'm not a kid anymore. And whatever they're hiding, it's already part of my life. Lucia shook her head, tears forming now. You don't know what they're capable of. No, he said, but I know what they're afraid of. That stopped her. What? She asked. Noah's voice lowered. They're not afraid of me, he said. They're afraid of what I represent. Lucia didn't answer, because she knew. He stepped closer. You said someone made a decision that night, he continued. A choice between bloodlines. Lucia's breathing slowed again. Yeah, she said softly. Noah held her gaze. Then we stopped guessing. He said, find out who. A long silence. Then Lucia looked at him, really looked at him. And something changed. Not acceptance. Not fully, but something close. You won't stop, she said. No, another pause. Then she nodded just slightly. Then you need to be careful who you trust, she said. Noah didn't hesitate. I already know one person who won't lie to me, he said. Lucia frowned. Who? Noah's answer came without hesitation. Evelyn. Lucia's reaction was immediate. No. Yes. Noah, you don't understand. I do, he said. She's part of this, whether she wants to be or not. Lucia stepped closer, her voice urgent again. She's not safe. No, Noah replied. Neither am I. That ended the argument. Lucia looked at him for a long time. Then finally, if you go back there, she said, you don't go as a delivery boy anymore. Noah nodded slowly. I know. You go as someone they tried to erase. The words settled between them, heavy, real. Noah glanced at the envelope on the table, then back at her. They came tonight because they're losing control, he said. Lucia didn't argue, because she knew that was true. And if they're losing control, Noah added, that means we're getting closer. Silence. Then Lucia reached out, and this time when she touched his arm, it wasn't to stop him, it was to hold on. Then don't do it alone, she said. Noah nodded. I won't. But even as he said it, he knew something neither of them had said out loud yet. The people who came tonight weren't the ones in charge. They were just the warning. The real decision, the one Lucia had been afraid to name, was still waiting. And now, for the first time, it was coming for him. Evelyn survived. That was the first truth, not the clean kind, not the cinematic kind. She survived the collapse backstage, the emergency surgery, the weeks of doctors speaking in careful voices and measuring recovery in inches instead of promises. But when she came home, she came back smaller than before. Thinner, quieter. Her hands trembled more often. Some mornings, even lifting a cup took effort she could not hide anymore. Money bought the best specialists in the city. It bought privacy. It bought time. It did not buy back what stress, grief, and 30 years of buried damage had already taken from her body. Victor Marrow, meanwhile, did what men like Victor always did first. He denied. He lawyered up. He gave statements through people paid to sound calm. He called the recordings manipulated, the documents incomplete, the accusations emotional. Then the civil subpoenas widened. Then the financial investigators found accounts he had not meant for anyone to follow. Then the old trust revisions surfaced. Then 2 former firm employees decided they were tired of lying for a dead man and a living coward. By spring, Victor was still free. Still dressed well, still angry. But he was no longer untouchable. The case would take time. Evelyn knew that now. Noah did too. Real justice, the kind that changes records and not just headlines, moved slower than rage wanted it to. Lucia got her name back first. Not in the newspapers. She did not want that. Not on television. Not in one more room full of rich people discovering compassion, because a scandal had finally made it fashionable. She got it back in the records, in the corrected documents, in the legal filings that restored what had been erased. Lucia Vega, written plainly, no coded file number, no hidden appendix. No confidential addendum designed to make her disappear again. When the attorney handed her the corrected papers, she did not cry right away. She just held them with both hands and stared at her own name, like she had not seen it belong fully to her in a very long time. I thought, she said softly, I would feel angrier. Noah sat beside her in the small office, elbows on his knees, watching her face more than the papers. What do you feel? Lucia let out a slow breath. Tired, she said. Then, after a beat and lighter, that was the thing about truth. It did not always come with triumph. Sometimes it came with exhaustion. Sometimes with grief for the years it took. But even then, it had weight. And when it finally settled in the right place, people could stand differently under it. She chose not to move into any of the properties Evelyn quietly made available. She chose not to step into that world at all. Noah understood why. Lucia had not fought to be seen just to spend the rest of her life inside the architecture of the people who had once erased her. She stayed in the same neighborhood for a while. Same church, same grocery store. Same women who asked too many questions, and then brought soup when dialysis left her weak. Only now, when people asked about her past, she did not lower her voice. Elena finished school. Not because a miracle check fell from the sky and fixed everything overnight. Evelyn paid the balance quietly through the foundation. Yes, but Elena still worked. Still studied late. Still walked into every room like she had earned her place there and intended to keep it. When she got her first job offer after graduation, she cried in the bathroom and then came out annoyed at herself for crying. Noah laughed when she told him that. You're impossible, he said. So are you, she replied. Guess it runs in the family. That word had changed too, family. It no longer meant paperwork alone. It no longer meant whoever had the money to control the story. It meant the people who stayed, the people who told the truth, even when it cost them comfort, the people who chose responsibility over image. Noah never became a billionaire, he never wanted to. A few reporters tried to turn him into something easy, the lost heir, the delivery boy who discovered he belonged to a wealthy family, the poor man who became rich through scandal. He refused every version of that story. He gave one short interview, mostly because Evelyn asked him to help keep the focus on the foundation rather than the gossip. In it, he said the only thing he cared about was that his mother's name had been returned to her, and that no one should need a courtroom to be treated like a human being. After that, he stepped back. When Evelyn offered him a formal role in the new outreach division of the Marrow Accountability and Access Fund, he did not answer her right away. The title sounded polished. The salary was better than anything he had ever made. The office overlooked a part of the city he once only drove through. On paper, it looked like a rescue, but he had learned enough by then to distrust anything that looked too much like rescue. What exactly do you want me to do? He asked her. They were in her study. Afternoon light on the desk. Her wheelchair turned half toward the window, half toward him. She looked tired but steadier now. Not healed, just honest. I want you to build something useful, she said. Outreach for workers who get trapped by silence agreements. Immigration threats, false records, dependency. The people my father used to treat as disposable. The people I learned too late I was helping him destroy by saying nothing. Noah was quiet. Evelyn looked at him directly. I am not offering you a place in my world, she said. I am asking if you want help building a better one. That was why he said yes. Not because of the office. Not because of the money. Because for once, someone rich was not offering him gratitude dressed up as control. She was offering responsibility, shared work, a chance to do something that mattered for people who had less room to recover when power turned on them. Their relationship never became easy. That was another truth. Noah did not suddenly start calling Evelyn every morning. Evelyn did not become warm overnight, or soft or magically free of the reflexes built by pride and pain. Some days she still sounded cold when she was tired. Some days Noah still bristled when she gave an order instead of a request. Some memories could not be repaired. Some habits did not vanish just because the truth had finally been spoken aloud. But they began, with small things. A corrected family file. Old photographs laid out on a table. Names said properly. Long silences that no longer felt like war. One afternoon Evelyn handed Noah a stack of copied letters tied with a faded ribbon. These were my mother's, she said. She kept them. I only found them after the hearing. He took them carefully. About Lucia? Evelyn nodded. About both of you in different ways. Noah read them later, alone. Some were ordinary. Lunch plans, apologies, whether others hurt, questions never answered, fear hidden between polite lines. One of them had a sentence he carried for weeks after. No child should have to inherit silence as if it were wealth. He never told Evelyn how many times he read that line. He suspected she knew anyway. By late summer the sign went up inside the new foundation office. Not grand, not gold. Just brushed metal beside the community records room. Lucia Vega Documentation and Family Restoration Center. Noah stood in front of it with Elena on one side and Lucia on the other. Lucia looked at the sign for a long time without speaking. Then she touched the edge of the plate with 2 fingers, as if checking whether it was real. It's too much, she said quietly. No, Evelyn answered from behind them. It's too late, that's different. When Noah turned, she was there in her wheelchair near the hallway window. A cream shawl over her shoulders. Her face pale from the effort of being up that long. But she had come anyway, that mattered. A week later Noah drove Lucia to the lake. Not for a ceremony, not for a dramatic reunion, just a visit. The day was cool and bright. The estate looked less like a fortress now. Though maybe that was because they entered through the front gate. Without asking permission from ghosts. Evelyn was already outside near the water. Her chair angled toward the shore. Mrs. Bell stood nearby with a cardigan folded over one arm, pretending not to watch too closely. Noah helped Lucia out of the car, slowly, carefully. The old fear was still there in her body. You could see it in the set of her shoulders, in the way her eyes went first to the house, then to Evelyn, then down to her own hands. No one rushed her. That was the mercy of age sometimes. People who had suffered enough no longer needed speeches. They needed room. Lucia walked the last few steps on her own. Evelyn looked up at her. The wind moved lightly across the lake between them. For a second, Noah thought one of them would say something enormous. Something that would tie the whole story up in a single line. Neither did. Lucia sat in the chair Noah pulled beside Evelyn. Mrs. Bell draped the cardigan over her shoulders. The 2 women looked out at the water like they were trying to recognize a place that belonged to different versions of themselves. After a while, Evelyn said, I used to hate this view. Lucia let out the smallest breath that might have been a laugh. You told me once it looked smug. It did, it still does. That time they both smiled, small, uneven, real. Noah stood back and watched them from a respectful distance. Not because he was outside the moment. Because he finally understood that some healing only happens when no one tries to force it into performance. No apology could return their youth. No legal victory could give back the years. No amount of money could undo what power had already done. But there they were, not fixed, not whole in any perfect way. Just present. Under the same sky. With the truth no longer locked away from them. Sometimes that was what redemption looked like. Not grandeur. Not punishment alone. Just the end of hiding. The return of a name. The chance to sit beside the people history had separated and no longer pretend they were strangers. The sun lowered slowly over the lake. Noah felt Elena come stand beside him, her shoulder brushing his. You okay? She asked. He looked at the women by the water, at the house behind them, at the long road it had taken to reach one quiet afternoon. Yeah, he said. I think I am, and he meant it. Because in the end, the truth had not made them rich in any way that mattered. It had done something harder. It had made them visible to one another without shame. If this story stayed with you, say so in the comments. And if you've ever had to choose between a quiet lie and a difficult truth, tell us which one you think gives a person more dignity. Stay with the channel for more stories about second chances, redemption, and the kind of emotional truth money can never buy.